Hello, Mike Casa. I'm so glad to have you on the red couch today.
Hi, Angie. Thank you for having me.
And we just got to know each other basically, but the thing is, because you're famous, I know you, but you don't know me. So
Yes.
I'm definitely having some advantage here. And I read in your bio that you started your comical comedian career in Sydney.
That's
That's
correct. Yeah.
kind of funny because I used to study in Australia many moons ago. How did you end up in Sydney, of all places?
Yes. I did a PhD. I studied mechanical engineering, did a PhD in biomechanics. And it was a year of studies that was planned already from the beginning to be in Australia on this PhD, because we did the preclinical studies in Australia, which is easier to run and have more expertise. So basically, I spent there a year, and yeah, I love the city. Also, the comedy scene was, of course, already there, whereas in Switzerland, developed over time in the last, I would say, 6, 8 years.
So you have a PhD in mechanical engineering?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
correct.
that's amazing. That's amazing. And did you always know that you wanted to be a comedian?
No, no, not at all. I think I like challenges. So I remember I saw years ago the first open mic ever.
Uh-huh.
Let's call it open mic. So basically, a person that was trying jokes between two professional comedians in a paid show, of course, in Zurich. And I saw him try new jokes, and I found like, oh, that's funny. I didn't even know you could, have a space to try to try jokes. And then he came, this thought of giving a go, right? Then I went to watch these shows other times, and once I was in the first row. I don't know if you know Angie, but usually we interact with the first row as comedians. Not every comedian does it, but I do it. The first 20 minutes of my show usually interaction with the first row, and I remember the comedian did the same with me. That was in first row, and I came with a good answer. I would say like funny answer. And also after the show, he told me, yeah, if you are thinking about doing comedy, try out because having a fast answer is key. So then I went on stage for the first time, maybe like a month after that encounter, and it went okay. I would say for the first time. I actually recently found the video of it. You can see nervousness, but it went okay. And then I moved to Sydney for studies, and there where it really started going weekly, right? Because there was the possibility to go to open mic weekly. I did also competition there, and then when I came back, the scene started growing, right? And now we have a good scene in Switzerland, honestly, for stand-up comedy.
I mean, your success is amazing. I don't want to, brag about you already, but because you're going to tell your story. In having been when you were when you were at this stage, um, did you find it hard? Because I know you have like a corporate career, you have you have a job, etc. Did you find it hard to tell your friends and family that now I'm also becoming a comedian on the side? How did that go for
Right,
you?
yeah. That's a good question. And no, not really hard to, let's say, to communicate, or no embarrassment. It's more that I don't want people to have the perception that this influence with the professional life, right?
Uh-huh.
So at the beginning, especially at work, I was not, communicating extensively. I was doing stand-up comedy. My manager knew. Yeah, I mean, also right now, my manager had to sign a document, of course, that is aware that I do stand-up comedy on the side, but not, was not a thing that I was promoting proactively, right? Now I came to, to a point where at the end everyone, like a lot of people knows, especially because those people who work in corporate are a big part of my audience. So also this environment at work is really like the kind of people that come to my show. So a lot of people stop me when I pass, and are you the guy? So yes. So now it's not a secret now. It's difficult to keep it, low key.
It is. Plus, you're also very tall.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like,
true,
I
true.
mean,
Recognizable.
you're recognizable,
Right, right. How do you know, Angie? How do you know that I'm tall?
I've been to your show last year.
Ah,
So
you've
I
been to
see
my
you
show
there. Yeah,
last
yeah, yeah,
year
yeah, yeah.
then. Ah,
Yeah,
great, great.
yeah.
Yes.
And I know because I had a photo taken with you. So, and I'm not small, so I know that you must be like 190 or something.
Yeah, correct. 195, 96,
Oh
yes.
my goodness. Yeah. That's very tall for a Swiss person, by the way.
Yeah, yeah, I guess
Are
there
you sure you're
some
Swiss?
exceptions. Yes, yes. No, I originally, yeah, my family is almost complete from Ticino. Just my grandmother is partly German and part Italian. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, also have some family from Berlin, Zamüller. So
Oh, that's why. That makes
who knows?
sense now. Now it
Who
all
knows?
makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, but
Okay,
I hear
so
it a lot, Angie. Yeah, I hear it. I mean, I'm almost annoyed because every time at a show, right?
yeah,
The first thing that people say, I didn't know you were so tall, right? But in having multiple show a weeks, we hear this maybe 10 times a week.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. And
so
we
yeah,
don't see
yeah,
that
yeah.
on Instagram.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
Yes.
because we are not on Instagram, we don't know how tall people are. And also
Interesting.
a lot of your Instagram jokes, I feel like you're sitting, when you do these masquerade things.
Right, right. Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
true. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting, yeah.
Okay, can you maybe just give us a little intro, a quick SBB
Yeah.
joke or something?
No, difficult. I'm not super good at coming up with the jokes on the
I
spot,
know you're not
but
funny at
I
all. Yeah, I can tell.
on
Yeah.
on the spot in interviews more challenging. But I will have to think about a short one, on. No, well, I can tell you this if you want to hear one because I tell you often this one and it's quite short. You know that in Germany you had nine euro tickets
Yep.
some years ago for the
Yep.
train for the Deutsche Bahn,
The
right?
Euro ticket. Yep.
And this summer, have you heard about the 9 francs ticket this summer of SBB? You
It's
know,
not happening.
no, it's the same concept. Basically, you can travel for just 9 francs on the whole country for the whole month by foot. By foot. That's the offer that they. It's a small
Okay.
one
Yeah.
since you asked.
Very good. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. We got it. And one of the things I've been thinking about a lot, but I think you already answered the question. So when you when you create these corporate jokes and you talk about the corporate world, you know exactly what's going on. So how do you how do you work? Can you talk a bit more about your process?
Yeah, the creative process. Yeah, sure. I usually try inspiration of things that bothers me,
Uh-huh.
right? Or sometimes the thing that I say someone did is what I did, right? I try to find those elements that I see. And then usually I just wrote a topic, right? The topic, I don't know, is standing desk, right?
Yeah.
And then I start writing, jokes on the topic. Usually I take 10 minutes per topic, right? And then I select, usually make it bold and green, what I think it could work, right? And then I usually insert a new joke into a joke a bit that already work, right? So that if it doesn't work, it's not, so visible, let's say.
Yeah.
And if then it comes out to be solid, I keep it and I put it in a file that I call the gold pot, like where where I put all the jokes that work. So and yeah, sometimes I even
Okay.
in the new set. Sometimes, for instance, now I took some jokes that was from 2 years ago that I really like. They fit good on this set. So sometimes I mix, but I try to come up with a new set every 8 months, more or less. Yes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Awesome. And the jokes that you create for Instagram, are these also the ones that you do live, or is that like a separate
Right. Yeah.
creative process?
Yeah, it's two different muscles, I would say. Like at the
Uh,
beginning, it was difficult to create sketches
yeah,
because I was not used. I mean, I was doing at the beginning, I was just posting clips of my stand-up comedy. Then I don't even remember why I started doing sketches, but then I saw that there was more traction on sketches on Instagram on stand-up comedy clip. Often is the case also for other creators. And so I started thinking a bit harder on how to think on sketches. But and now I would say it comes naturally. I have like now a pipeline of maybe 10 sketches that I want to film. And it comes naturally, but I could tell there are two different muscles, writing stand-up comedy and writing sketches. Sometimes,
yeah,
okay, I have to adapt some stand-up comedy bit and I can make it into a sketch, right? But the way around doesn't work that well. Honestly, the way around, I mean, write a sketch and say, Anna, I do a stand-up comedy bit on that. That I think it's harder. I think it's honestly, I think as an art, it's harder stand-up comedy than sketch making
uh-huh,
because it's
yeah,
you have to bring people with imagination and just your facial expression. So it's not as complicated as you see to think about sketch, but it needs to train. You need to train this the sketch mindset.
yeah, okay. Very interesting. I haven't asked you one of the questions I'm supposed to ask you because I'm
Sure.
so fascinated about what you talk about. There was another thing I wanted to talk about the expats. So, yeah, because, a lot of the people that are watching this will be expats or people working in HR, global mobility, and dealing with expats a lot. Why are you so successful? What do you think? Why is you so successful in the expatriate community? Why do they all love?
Right. Yes, I think there are different elements. First of all, of course, is in English.
Yeah,
That's I think one of the biggest factor, right? Then it's a clean humor, right? You can reach many more people if you're clean, right? That's also the beauty of having clean comedy. And third, it's coming really from a humor and a vision of the world that is from the expat community. Because since my PhD, I always no, not even before doing mechanical engineering, my group of friends were all expat, right? Already from the get-go, from when I was 20, and I was always in this milieu of expats. So it's been, also a humor that developed on this international environment, and yeah, I think people reflect themselves in this humor, hopefully, and that's why a lot of expats tend to come. But I must say, usually it's a majority expat, 70%, but I would say 30% are Swiss,
yeah,
70%, and it's increasing also the Swiss, my Swiss audience. I'm happy of it because I
yeah.
think it's also can also be be funny for of course my countrymen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and I think some of the talent that you have is also because of the way that your brain is structured. I don't know.
Can be, yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with how you view the world, but also it's very intelligent. And and I also think you have to be in Switzerland to get it. I tried it with some of my friends in Germany and they were like, "What is that?" And I
All
said,
right, yes.
maybe you don't get it because you don't live here and you don't know, for example, how expensive everything is. Or, like the jokes about the washing machines and things like that. I think it's maybe not so funny if you do not live in Switzerland or if you not have this international lifestyle, because some of the things, yeah, I don't know, they just come with being an expat that, I don't know, that
True,
I
some,
think
yeah,
align.
true. I mean, it's more. I think it was objectively more visible to an expat. Those differences. Although it comes from my point of view that I mean I'm of course Swiss. I grew up here, so I think other people that are not expat can notice, but probably if it's more prominent. That's also for sure an element. Yeah.
And when you think about people moving to Switzerland, so one of the things we would like to do is show more people your videos so that they get the culture better. When you think about these people, what do you think they should understand about the country?
Uh, so it's a question that would take me a while to structure a good answer. But if I have to talk without thinking much, I think that it's international as well, but there are um, big differences between region and region. I mean, of course, in Zurich, 40%, I think it's the percentage of expat. You're going to have a complete different experience than if you move to Aargau, right? That's
Yeah.
in Aargau, mentality is always difficult and different. In Zurich, I mean, you can have like a good expat experience, but you will sometimes find people that comes from a more traditional background that also reflect the differences that I put on my sketches, right? There's more rigid and more but let's say close-minded people. Sometimes I'm that person, like even myself, I'm really a Bünzli in recycling and try to to respect the rules
Come
and
on.
not
Don't tell me you're
and
not taking
yeah.
away the bottles on Sundays.
So no, sometimes yes. This is, I mean, I try to respect the rules that don't bother people. Like for
Yeah.
instance, I when I'm in the I have a balcony. When I'm in balcony, and after 10, some of my friends are loud. I'm like, shh, don't talk so loud. It's true outside. So I try to to respect set of rules. And yeah, so I mean, maybe also this for expat, it's something that they have to know. There are like some some rules of proper of respect of other people, right? That are quite rigid, and sometimes there is also a reason.
One of the things I tell people a lot, next to, help, I mean, it helps if you follow the rules, but I also tell people a lot, once you're in the circle of trust, once you have, built your network here, everything will feel really easy. It just can take about 2 to 3 years until people ask you out for like a beer after work or a prosecco or something. Um, do you use professional networking, for example, to get a better audience? How do you work? How do you gain new audiences? What is your way of networking?
Ah, uh, let's say I don't use my personal network to bring people to shows. At the end, my biggest marketing channel is Instagram, and I think the biggest of all is really the sketches and the clips that go viral, right? Without any monetization. Then I also have like ads that run. But I think this is, it would be interesting how many comes because of the ads, how many comes because of, okay, but I'm sure the majority comes because of the clips and sketches. So uh, I would say I don't leverage much. Yeah, a network, even for corporate events. People that book me for corporate events are usually people that came to my show and they propose to HR, or even they are HR and they propose me for the company event. So I don't even really leverage, any of my existing network. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you basically people have heard of you or they have seen you and then they book you for corporate events.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I just
Mostly.
had yeah, I just had another thought. Um, a lot of my clients, they have challenges with public speaking. That's
Hmm.
one of the most one of the most inhibiting things for people right now, especially if a lot of them have to talk online, like on Zoom calls or MS Teams, sometimes presenting. And I was wondering, do you offer like courses on stand-up comedy as well?
No, 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 I'm not. I wouldn't
Do
have
you
much
coach
time
people?
to do that.
Do you
No, I
coach?
don't coach people. Sometimes I give suggestions
Uh-huh.
to my openers. Like
Yeah,
if you remember, Angie, probably when you came, I have probably two comedians that opened for
yeah,
me, right? But I must say, also the people that open for me, I find them really good. There's not much, that I don't know. Then I don't remember when you went there, who was there of the people. But I think all the people that open for me are already quite developed in their comedy career. So there's not much to add. I mean, I say maybe I give some, what do we call tag, a joke that you can add,
Uh-huh.
or maybe something that is in the posture, or there are like small, small tricks in stand-up comedy, for instance, not having the microphone too close to the mouth, because it covers also the facial expression, not having the mic stand in front of you, put it on the side. It's a small thing if I notice, but I must say I don't even have much coaching opportunities
Uh-huh.
in my shows. Yeah.
Maybe something to think about for expansion. So when you do corporate workshops, what is it like? What do you do there?
I Yeah, I did joke creation. I have this presentation. Maybe you found online that I did for Toastmaster. That is about yeah, how you structure a joke, how you do a joke, and then there was a workshop with writing a joke on a topic using the rules learned in the previous part, right? This is what I do, but I don't coach 101, right? This is
Yeah.
more general, right? Corporate event, usually they book me for stand-up comedy and doing my sets. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's quite second. I never focused on that as a main selling proposition, let's say.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you still have a lot of time in your life
Yeah, who knows?
here, and maybe there's something that you still want to think about in the
That can be done. Yeah,
next
let's see.
25
Let's see.
years. Yeah.
Yes.
So, what else did I want to ask you? Let me see. Yeah, what's happening next for you? Big things are coming along.
Right. Super big. No, I wouldn't say. I mean, it's growing organically, and it's always a bit bigger. I would say the only highlight I'm going to perform at the Celt. Maybe you know Angie. The
Uh-huh.
Celt is one is a 400 seaters, or maybe more, maybe 600, or not sure. That moves around Switzerland for comedy, usually mostly comedy. And this is quite well known on the Swiss scene, so they booked me for two shows. So I'm going to be there. That's I would say maybe the highlight of this year. Otherwise, I'm growing the shows, of course. Now in Zurich I just have 180 seater, so that every time, I mean, I don't do small shows anymore. That's also like a improvement every time. Before I until last year I also was doing show with a 60 seaters. That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
well, so that, I mean, double up, and I do more or less twice a month in Zurich. So it's quite grown um, well, let's say my shows have grown in popularity, and probably I did this year my biggest room so far. It was a 450 seater, so
Oh,
in Geneva.
wow.
Yeah, so that's also like a record. Okay, that's a record for my solo show. Then I'm probably going to do another one in Geneva under 450 seater in November probably. I cannot do it in Zurich because I do many shows more frequently, and then that wouldn't make sense also to take, or at least I should reduce the frequency. But I also like to keep an high frequency for also bringing more jokes bringing more jokes out, and also giving people the opportunity to choose a date that work for them, because it's also, I think, nice of my shows that you will more or less find a date that works, sometimes on Tuesday, sometimes on Wednesday, sometimes it's the weekend, of course. So if you think, oh, I would like to see the guy, but this date doesn't work, at some point you will find a date. I have people that come to me and say, okay, it's been 1.5 years I tried to come. Of course they didn't prioritize me. That's fair that you don't prioritize it. But I'm happy that then they say, okay, then I saw this date work for me, and I prioritize you, and
Yeah.
so they show up. Yes.
There's definitely one show at the end of June. So hopefully, a lot of my viewers will see that open air
Right,
at
yes, that's
Lakeside, right?
yes, that's really a beautiful venue.
Yeah,
It's right on the lake. It's gonna be a 200 seater right on the lake, basically on where Wiese is, like this part of Zurich. And even if it rains, we have like an auditorium inside of there's a 300 seater. So it's great that
yeah,
it's both option because you never know with Zurich summer, but
yeah.
that's gonna be a good show. And of course, Angie, you are invited to to come.
I will probably be there. And maybe I'm
Perfect.
even gonna sit in the first row this time
Great, great,
for
perfect.
all the
Let's have you.
jokes.
Let's have you there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. Good luck with your show tonight, and thanks for making the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Angie. It was a pleasure.
Have a good
Nice
one.
talking to you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.